Alright folks, so here's where we're going to install the barriers, and we're going to go from this side part across to this part here. So what we're going to do is we're going to snap a chalk line here to get a direct line from centre to centre. So Maria, we're just going to mark this here to the centre. And if I can get you please to hold that.
Like this?
Yeah.
Or maybe like this, yeah.
More like that there, Maria. See, like that. Like that there.
Oh,
So just lift that hand there. Yeah, just that one, yeah. That's just where the line is. And then what we do is, depending on how many barriers we need, if it's 2 or 3, we work out the location of where the hole needs to be drilled. So in this instance it's just a 2-barrier installation, so the hole is in the centre. So this is 82.5 inches, which is 41.25 inches, which is here. So this now is where the centre hole needs to be drilled. So as I said, before we start, just drill the pilot hole first. We don't need the other part on the drill, and we need the hammer on the drill for this part. We can use the vacuum to remove any excess dust. Folks, this is a diamond tip drill bit. What that means is you don't need the hammer action on the drill while we're drilling with this. So what we'll do is we'll remove the hammer action and we'll install this on now. And now we start drilling the hole. From experience, the dust build up, it actually clogs up the drill bit, it makes it hard to drill. So there we keep the vacuum on to keep the dust removed. Another pointer is, whenever you've started the hole and we're down that part, if you remove the centre bit at this stage, it's actually easier on the drill and it's quicker to drill. I'm just going to remove the centre bit out of this. And that makes it easier now to drill when the centre bit's not in it. The centre bit isn't needed now because we've the hole started. What we can do here is we can knock out the centre piece at this point, which is going to make it easier then to drill. folks, anywhere you can use a garden hose, it's a much quicker than the vacuum, and the drill doesn't stick. So if you're in an area where you can get away with adding water and it doesn't matter with the area, use the hose, it's an awful lot easier. So just at this point, it's critical now that we make sure that the hole is drilled deep enough before we put in any of the epoxy resin. For whatever reason, it's not deep enough and it sits proud. If we put epoxy resin in the hole too soon, it's going to be a problem. So in this instance, you can see it's sitting about 5 mil too high. So for that reason, we need to lower it a little. Now we can see those down flush. Extension pole. The base comes on the extension pole. There comes the white plastic disc, and this white part, this disc is very important, and I'm going to show you now why. And also this dust cap. Now for whatever reason you cannot find either the dust cap or this white disc, it's in the packaging. The packaging has been obviously opened upside down, but it's in the foam of the packaging, so it's important. It is with every extension pole. So before we start, what we do is we take off the rubber base, okay, and we put on this white disc. Now the idea of this white disc is it stops any epoxy resin going up through the extrusion of the extension pole. So that's the idea of that. And then we screw on the stainless steel base. Just screw it on hand tight, and that's enough. Now, the next thing we do is we just put this into the hole first and make sure that everything is right. Make sure that it's plumb before we start working with epoxy resin, because some of the epoxies is very quick time setting on it, and you don't have time if you make any mistakes. So just make sure all that's right before you start. Then when we're ready to start, as I said prior, you don't need to fill the hole with the epoxy. You know, if you fill it, maybe say a quarter full is enough.
The name of the epoxy?
Now there's different brands of epoxy resin on the market, so you know it depends on where you are and what you get. So it's an anchor fixing epoxy resin is what they're looking for.
Something out to say.
See that? So we can see here from doing this that we're not near deep enough. We don't have enough epoxy in it. Okay. We'll just try this again. Now you can see we're high enough this point, this stage. Just move it up and down to work that epoxy up and down on the stainless steel base. Now we just check the level, make sure it's plumb. Okay. Now that'll take, depending on the type of anchor fixing you've purchased, that could take anything from 7, 10 or 15 minutes. So in our case it's about 7 minutes. We are just after the installation. The epoxy resin is set and we're just going to remove the pole. Now after we remove the pole, at this stage we're finished with the plastic disc. So it's no longer needed, so you can discard that. And it's very important at that stage to install the rubber base. So here we go, and we can remove the plastic disc. And if there's any pointing that needs to be done around the stainless steel base, now's your time to do it, just to leave it flush. So as you can see here, the stainless steel base is finishing flush with the ground, so it's not a trip hazard, and we can discard this. So what we're doing now is we're actually installing the rubber base. Okay, so there we have it. And now we're just going to do a setup here, just a handover. So as you can see, there's a chamfer on the stainless steel base which guides the threaded rod down into the base. Now just have it running parallel with the door opening so it's ready for the two barriers. And tighten down your base. That's it. Now to install the barriers, and it's very important to jack out each barrier till they're just sitting ajar of the extension pole. Now on the corners you do need the patchet. Right? So again, the patchet is like the butyl material, and the idea of it is that normally there's cracks, maybe, or the jointing's not great in the corner. So how we do this is, recommend you roll it up like so and place that in the bottom corner, and then we do the same on the opposite side. And the patchet isn't needed on the extension pole, because on the extension pole, as you can see here, the rubber is in the proper radius for the barrier. So the only place you need, whether it's 2 poles, 4 poles, or whatever it is, you don't need any patchet near the poles. It's only in the 2 corners. And the other part would sit here. Now, we spoke about this earlier. This is part here where it needs to be grinded out, pointed, and this here needs to be fixed. But just for this demo, we're going to show it the way it is. Sit in one barrier. And sit in the other barrier. Now what we do is now, we'll jack this out till we're almost touching, and there's no pressure on the extension pole at this point. Now at this point we can see it's still loose, and we're going to tighten the other side. Now we can see that it's actually touching. We go back to this side, and we can see it's touching. Now in this case we tighten one at a time. So one full ratchet and do the other side. One full ratchet. Come back to the other side. One full ratchet. One full ratchet. And the reason we do this intermittently is, if we don't, we're going to put too much pressure on the extension pole and we're going to either bend it one side or the other. That's why we equalize the pressure by doing it intermittently. Now, we can tell from that that's tight enough. And at that stage now is when we pump up the inflatable seal. We recommend just pump it up just to the green. Doesn't need to go too far into the green, just into the green's perfect. And close the air retention valve. Into the green and close the air retention valve, and that's the system in place. Okay, so to remove the barriers, folks, the next step is, and the first step we do is, before we change the direction on the ratchet and start ratcheting, open up the air retention valve and release the air pressure on each of the barriers. You keep holding that till you hear the air is completely gone, and then we move to the next one. Open up and de-inflate. And again, depending on how many barriers you have, you just remove the air out of all the barriers. And at that point now, what we do is we change the direction of the ratchet and we jack in once. Do the same on the other side. Change the direction, jack in once. And again, intermittently until we see that the barriers is loose. Now we know the barriers is loose, and now you can go ahead and remove the barrier. And that means at the very end, we're not just releasing all the pressure of one and pushing the pole over. So we're doing the two together. Now the patchet can be a little sticky in the corner, so we can just ease it off in the corner of the barrier. And we know, depending on where you are, if the weather's much hotter, it's a little stickier. But you can take it off, and if it's not dirty, that there can actually be put back in like a cling film and is reusable, providing that there's no sewerage or anything that's got in contact with it. Yeah. Patch it. And just at the very end, folks, make sure that the dust cap goes back into the anchor base. If not, dirt will manage to get into that, and then when you go to install the pole, in the event of a flood, you're going to have dirt in there, which is going to make it very awkward. Pole removed, and then simply screw in the dust cap. That's it.